Good evening, happy Monday. Sorry for the late start to this evening's last minute Q&A. I'm just going to move this because there's a bit of a glare. There we go. Welcome to tonight's impromptu Q&A and Theatre&Tonic episode. This evening I will be quickly joined by Madalena Alberto, who is part of the small company taking on the task of recreating Andrew Lloyd Webber's music on stage at the Curve Theatre in Leicester. Oh, hi Stacia Joe, have I got my ticket for Hairspray West End? I haven't yet. I need to sort it out. I know life's busy. I've literally just rushed home from work, so I look a bit frazzled. But if you have any questions for Madalena, I'm really hoping I'm pronouncing that right, about working on Andrew Lloyd Webber's work or anything she's done in the past, it'd be great for you to drop those below. I'm going to invite her on. But hope you're all well and I'm ready to sit down and chat after a hectic day. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Oh, so sorry about the delay. I was like, quick, I need to
Okay.
So quick. Thank you so much for joining me this evening for a quick Q&A.
No, thank you. I'm sorry about last week and Saturday. It was just a bit impossible for us to join from the theatre.
Yeah.
The Wi-Fi wouldn't allow us to do any live calls or anything, so we had to postpone it. So thank you.
No problem. So we'll get straight in there. So for those who are unaware of who you are and what work you've done in the past, can you just give us a bit of an introduction to yourself?
Oh gosh, well, I'm originally from Portugal. I've been in the UK for 20 years, so I've been here longer than I did in my home country, so it feels like home. And I moved to the UK because I was invited to come and do a performing arts course, a degree course, which included dancing and singing and acting. So the right path to go after that was into musicals. So I was very fortunate to I've done quite a few musicals that people might know. I don't know, Les Mis and Chicago and Fame and Evita and Cats. So there's quite a few well known and maybe a few not so well known. But I think that's me in a nutshell so far.
Brilliant. And so where did your interest for the arts come into your world? Where did it all begin for you, do you think?
Well, I think since I was about 6 years old, I knew I wanted to be an actress, but I was too shy and I didn't tell anyone for many, many years. And I used to be on a dance school just as a hobby back in Portugal. And I knew I did not want to be a dancer, but I was very fortunate that for a summer, a college from the UK, from London, came over to my school to do a little workshop. And at the end of that week, they invited me to come over. So I'd never thought about singing. I didn't know I could sing. I hadn't really thought about having a musical theater career because we didn't have any musicals when I was growing up. So it was something that happened to me. It was a wonderful, fortunate event. And here I am. And it's a beautiful art form because I can incorporate all the stuff that I've been doing since I was a kid with the dancing and the acting. So yeah, I was very, very lucky.
So do you think then for you then with terms of like musicals and stuff, you kind of had to learn quite later on what that was and discover this world?
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea when I came to England. I had no idea what to expect after the course. I didn't really know what the West End was. I knew that, some people would finish the course and go and do cruise ships and, that the ultimate goal would be to do a show in the West End. But because I didn't grow up with it, I didn't have maybe that pressure. Maybe a lot of people go into these courses with certain expectations, and luckily I didn't have those expectations. I feel like what I wanted to do is take in the opportunity that had been given me and do my best. And it did happen that I ended up finishing my course and be able to stay over. A lot of people wouldn't have been able to because it's quite expensive to live in London. So because I was given a scholarship, even financially, my parents had the circumstances that I could then stay and see what happens. So everything was new to me, even as I was auditioning for shows. For example, for Evita, I'd never seen Evita. I didn't know what a mammoth role it was, you know. So it has some good things about it as well, that I didn't go to certain jobs expecting anything really.
Is the art scene then really different in Portugal to like here, and how different is it?
It's very, very different. I mean, when I left 20 years ago, there was barely any musicals. There was a lot of straight theater. My friend, like TV production was picking up, Portuguese productions. So most of my friends over there are actually TV actors. And they love doing theater, but that's sort of their side job.
Yeah.
A lot of people in Portugal, and you know what? During COVID, I was there for a year almost, and it was a wonderful experience to connect with artists there and see the kind of work that they're doing. And you know, I saw a wonderful production of Chicago, which is like 100% Portuguese directed, and I can see in these past few years, actually, I've had Portuguese people coming over after the shows and chatting to me and say they're studying musical theater here. And so it has grown. When I left, there was nothing that I was aware of. Now there's a lot more interest, a lot of talent, some incredible voices. But I think in Portugal, they're still building up an audience, building up a way that it's sustainable to live out of theater. A lot of guys that I know and that I met recently, they do theater, but they have other jobs. They did a psychology course, or they're
Yeah.
studying to be nurses. But it's improving, and the will
Yeah.
is there. And
Yeah.
when I went to the theater, even during COVID, it was full. Whenever it was allowed and with the proper
Yeah.
social distancing. So I do think that there's a bright future there, even though it's definitely not like England or New York or even Germany or Spain. They've got quite a lot of shows happening there.
So do you think then with things like Brexit coming through, that's going to really affect the development of
Yeah.
Portuguese theatre? Is that something that kind of you think about and think that might actually affect the work that could happen there in the future, because they're not obviously building that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes into my mind has to do with, you know, the people who want to come to England to study. Um, I know a girl, for example, who recently was in touch, and she was asking about colleges, and it's just very difficult now and very expensive. So it's even more expensive than what it was, and it's difficult. There are some schools who only accept people who are residents, at least, or who have the settlement scheme. And that's a shame, because I think what Portugal needs a lot is people who are well trained and who can take back some, not being condescending to knowledgeable, talented people in
Yeah, but
Portugal.
they need
That's
to
not what
be
I mean
that.
at all. But it's good to have an influx of people who can go out and get stuff from different countries and then come back in. And then I think that's always positive. So yeah, I think Brexit will damage it, at least for a while. I mean, who knows what will happen? Things are
No.
not settled, and the whole of the arts and musicians and tours and all that, it's going to be such a big change and shift that I don't know for how long it will be. I'm keeping quite positive about it,
Yeah.
that maybe in a few years' time, that things won't be as difficult. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. So
Yeah.
obviously at the moment you're currently working with the Curve, which is amazing. How does it feel to be working with the Curve on what essentially is their first kind of big production
Yeah.
in-house?
Well, it's my third time working at Curve. I was here quite a few years ago with Piaf, and then I was here 2 years ago before COVID hit with On Your Feet. And it's actually a very special place. I've toured everywhere in the UK and amazing theaters, and Curve is a unique building, pretty much a unique space all around, where there's no division between actors and crew and office. Everything is very much one, and their ethos of work is incredible, and they make us aware, like, of what they stand for. So to come back to do a show here is beautiful in itself. Hi, Jonathan. Nice to see you. and and then, yeah, to be back working with people, because there's been a lot of stuff over the internet, and to be back in the theater, like working on incredible music and with such a talented bunch of people,
Hmm.
has been beautiful. It's been challenging, I think, because we've all kind of been away from it all and from for being surrounded for so many people. And even though people have been singing over Zoom or training or doing classes, it's a different
Not the
skill.
same.
No,
Yeah.
it's a different skill to come in and, work for 8 hours and then sustain it and just, yeah. And we're only 7 actors, and we're on stage pretty much the whole time, and we're like backing singing for everyone else. So you've got like Rhea Jones backing singing for me, which is absolutely insane. Um, but it's a beautiful family atmosphere. I think we created like a little hub together, so it's been great.
Yeah, and I think you can definitely sense that. So for those who are unaware of what the music of Andrew Lloyd Webber is, could you tell us a little bit about what it is, the premise of it?
Well, basically, it's a celebration of his work. It's actually not the first time it's been performed. It was called Unmasked, and it was done. There's been a few iterations of it, and so this time we didn't want to call it Unmasked because people have to wear masks in the theater. So they changed the name to just call it what it is, which is the music of Andrew Lloyd Webber, and it's pretty much. 7 performers going through most of his work on stage with Andrew himself on video talking about his life and his career and maybe some anecdotes about how shows came along or how songs came up that we might not know. So yeah, it's been also for me, I was so moved by all the work that Andrew's been doing this past year for COVID and the fact that he was in the front line trying put himself on a trial for the vaccine and working so hard with politicians to make this work. So for me, it feels very fit to celebrate his work, for that to be the first thing that Curve and I myself are doing, because we're very, very grateful for all the work that he's been doing his whole life, and that's why we're still here, and that's why so many people are inspired to join musical theater. It's because of his shows.
Yeah,
um
absolutely. Can you remember the first time you saw a piece of his work? Can you actually remember that moment or what it was?
yes, yes, because I talk about it in the show. We all have a little moment where us as ourselves, we talk a little bit about Andrew and in our lives. And for me, it was the videotape of Cats, because I didn't grow up with any musicals at home. So I think that was probably the first encounter I've had of any musical. And I remember being always very moved by, 𝗘𝗺𝗶𝗹 and the emotion and the acting through song and in memory. So I was very fortunate to many years later be able to play her at the Palladium. It's just these things that you don't, when you're a child, you don't really, I didn't even dream of it. It didn't even come into my thoughts. But yeah, so that was the first time.
So, and obviously in this production, you kind of take on very different roles, many different characters. Was that like kind of like a personal choice, or was it kind of like you were given the roles you were given, or did you kind of explore what you wanted it to explore?
No, I mean, we're basically given what we were given because most of us have done these shows and have played these
Mm.
roles. So we kind of knew, okay, I'm going to be doing the Evita stuff. Who's going to be doing the Sunset Boulevard stuff. And some people, for example, Jess Daly, who's incredible and she's young and she's also played 𝗘𝗺𝗶𝗹 recently in China. She's doing all the Christine stuff, which she's never done before, and surprising everyone and blowing the rooftop
Absolutely.
for her vocals. And then you've got Shem, who's a graduate. So he's never performed them before, and this is a brilliant showcase for him. And 𝗘𝗺𝗵, who's an incredible vocalist. She also never done any Andrew stuff. So I think for them it was a bit more of a surprise of what they would be doing, but definitely not for me and Rhea and the Tims, who have done some of Andrew's work before.
Do you have a bit of a favourite that you've been? Is there one role that you kind of every night you're like, still really like this role? This is like.
Oh, I love playing 𝗘𝗺𝗶𝗹. I love that role. I would do it again. It's hard, I'm not gonna lie. And I think obviously playing Oh God, it just escaped me. This is embarrassing. But Sunset Boulevard would be one that I'd like to do before I retire for sure. I love the tragic, vulnerable character, and I think she would be the next Lloyd Webber for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. So obviously, like you say, you mentioned Evita as being one of your roles you kind of really liked. What was it about it that you really liked about working on Evita?
Ah, what was it about? I don't know. I think it was the sheer power of that woman. I don't know. I think for me it was the journey. Like I'd never done a show where I was on stage mostly from beginning to end, and going through such a journey of her life from being very young to dying. And vocally it was a challenge, but for some reason my voice just really um, took it up. Like I didn't care if I didn't sound good, and I didn't care if this happened. The fact that it all sang through, really acting through every note, so not
Yeah.
worrying too much about my voice. And then, I mean, I didn't have any ideas before, after doing it. I mean, I haven't encountered a role like it so far, and to go through that journey for 2 hours, it's a load, it's a big load, but it pays off in the end. So yeah, it was great to play her.
And I think as well, Evita's one of those, like I was only introduced to it like properly a few years ago in a local production, and you just don't really know how beautiful it is until you see it. Do you know, it's one of those, I think it's a bit of an underdog. I think it's not one that a lot of people really talk about. And then when you see it, you're like, I get why it was so popular, and I get why people like it.
Yeah. And I think it can be very current nowadays, especially with social media and with, you know, how people get famous quickly. I think what happened to Ava in the 50s now happens a lot, but we forget that she was the first one. She was the first pop icon, and she was a woman, and against all odds. So I do think that nowadays, more than ever, her story is quite pertinent, whether you like her or hate her. Like that for me doesn't matter. It's the matter of telling her, and each person can have their own interpretation. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, I still love her.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And obviously, because you're now back in the curve, you're working with this new Revolve, aren't you? So is it quite difficult to connect with audiences? Because obviously you've got them at 4 different sides. Is it quite difficult to bring that to life and kind of connect with all areas, or have you found that quite easy to work with?
You get used to it. I think because as performers, we naturally want to be seen. So naturally, we sort of like make sure we don't have our backs to people the whole time. The Revolve was more of a challenge than I thought. I'm still not very good at it. When it's revolving, I'm not opting, because there's loads of revolves.
Yeah.
So like if they're all moving and I have to move between them one to the other, I'm still not very good. So I avoid it. But when you're on, it's quite fun. Like the end with School of Rock, I have a lot of fun.
Yeah. I don't know how I would navigate that. I'm always a bit like, oh my God, are they going to have, like, come on, like, make it over the Revolve? Because I can see it moving, like, so much in between. And I'm like, oh, it's so scary. And do you think as well, like, because obviously with this production...
It's going between them. I'm not very good.
Yeah, and I think with this production as well, do you find that the lighting has been, like, a really big part of what you're doing as well? Because Ben's lighting is beautiful. So have you felt that that's really helped you kind of...
I think it's the star of the show. Well, to be honest, you know, even before we knew it, the show was done in the rehearsal room in terms of what we had to give ourselves previous. But the lighting and the sound do so brilliant. They just elevate everything and turn it into such an epic show. The lighting rig, I've never seen anything like it. And I think they'll be very proud, and I wonder if they're going to be using it every single show, because it's just terrific. Anyone who's thinking about coming, you should definitely come and see, even if it's for the lighting rig.
Oh yeah, the lighting's amazing. And what do you think it is about Andrew Lloyd Webber's work that's made it so iconic? What do you think it is that brings people back over and over again?
I've been reflecting on that quite a bit, you know. I always think of time, place, and circumstance. Like when Andrew and Tim Rice, when they started at the beginning, they were so young. And there was just nothing like it. They just broke all the boundaries. They were writing musicals about cats and about the wife of a dictator in Argentina, like, and Jesus Christ Superstar. I just think that because they came up at that time, and it was so there was nothing like it. Obviously, they became classics, and I think the music in its. Andrew actually talks at the beginning of the show. They say some people might not like my music, which is quite sweet of him. But I don't know that many people who don't like his music or who won't recognize his music. Even if you're not a musical theater fan, you will know most of his stuff, or you would have heard it. And I don't think there's many people in the world who can say that, that their work can reach so many different people and so many different backgrounds. Sheer melodies are just stunning. And you know, I had when I was little, it's just stuck with me forever. Memory, for example, one of the greatest songs, one of the songs that gives me the most pleasure to sing. There's not many things like it, to be honest. So I'm very pleased that he's still going, and appreciate what is done, especially to put English musicals on the map. Because at the time, it was all stuff coming from America. And I think Drew, we need to thank him a lot for getting the UK musical theatre back on the map.
Absolutely. Is there, if I said to you, there's 5, if you could choose any 5 songs of Andrew Lloyd Webber that are your favourites, which ones would you pick? I'm being kind, I'm giving you 5, so my 3.
Yeah. Memory for sure. And I never thought that until I sang it. And it's just that bit towards the end before the big touch me. The build up in the orchestra is just amazing. You just want to scream everything. Okay, so focus. Memory. In Evita, I loved Lament.
Yes.
The last song that Ava sings. I love a song from Jesus Christ Superstar, and I don't know called, but it's that try not to get worried.
Oh yeah. What is that from? I'm going to try and look it up now. Yeah, I know which one you mean, but I can't think of its name. Oh, she's buffering. Hopefully we'll get her back. Oh no. Just hold on, guys. I'm sure she'll come back. I think it's her connection. If you do have any quick questions, do leave them below. We're not going to be on too long. I'm just hoping she'll come back. Oh, she's left. Give it a couple of minutes and I'm sure she'll come back. I'm going to try and figure out what song she's on about, because I do remember it, but I can't think what it's called. Hopefully she'll come back. Oh, let's see if she can get back. Is she back?
Hello.
Yeah, I can see
my connection.
Yeah, probably. I can hear you now. Yeah, I can see you and hear you. I don't know if you can hear and see me.
I can't hear you now. You've got like a wheelie thing. Yes.
Should pick itself back up.
Dan, everything's all right. I love that song.
Great song.
Maybe it was good the internet stopped. Be yourself.
Right, so we've got Everything's All Right. What else did we choose? We chose Memory.
Lament, and 2 more. Well, not one for me to sing, but the Jesus song.
Yep, I can see you now. It just keeps circling, it'll stop. I've got you, I can hear you, I can see you. Oh no. Just going to try again. The joys of internet, guys. Here we go, I'm hoping it'll work now. I can see you now. No. I don't like the internet anymore.
Me neither. I don't know if it's here, but I apologize if it is.
No, don't worry. So, can you think of the fourth one?
Yes, the fourth one, 𝗘𝗺̱.
Yeah.
Do you know the song that Jesus Christ sings? Jesus sings.
Yeah. Great song.
And fifth one, I'm gonna say if we never say if we never say goodbye from Sunset Boulevard.
Beautiful song. Oh, honestly, there's something about,
especially done by Rhea Jones.
Yeah. Oh my God, what is like shivers every time. I'm just like, oh my God, this woman, she's so good. What has it been like working with those people? Because obviously you've got like Rhea Jones and Jess Daly. What is it like working with those people for this production?
I don't know if you can hear me. I'm gonna keep talking. Hopefully you can. Well, it's been incredible. I had never worked with Rhea. In fact, I've never worked with anyone other than Tim Rogers, who I had done Jekyll and Hyde with about 9 years ago. And reading her after shows or things like that quite a times, and I've always wanted to work with her. And it's been beautiful because we just became a family, and there's no egos. Everyone's just here for each other, and it's been a very beautiful experience to share with these people in particular, for sure.
And has there been any kind of real big challenges on putting the show together during the COVID times and with all the measures in place, or has it been quite easy in comparison to, say, a bigger production?
Well, for us, it was relatively easy. There's a lot of rules, and we had to be tested, and we still do have to be tested twice a week. And there's a lot of stuff that we do to keep ourselves healthy and away from other people. But the building is amazing because the building isn't around, so they're very lucky. They can keep the audience very socially distanced and going on a one-way system. It's pretty incredible. I guess the challenge is one of the members of the company, for example, took the vaccine and didn't react well, so had to be off for a couple of days during rehearsals. Then I'm sure you're aware of, we had an injury with one of the performers, and she's been, still part of the show, but we had to change the show quite a bit to accommodate her. But other than that, and also doing a show with people with masks, it feels very different. But still, we count ourselves very, very lucky. And if this is the way for things to go forward, it's the way. And I think we've been very happy regardless. So that's what counts, I think.
Absolutely. So to kind of tie up this Q&A, could you tell us why people should book to see tickets to see the music of Angela Lloyd-Webber at the Curve? Because obviously it's the last week. So what would you say to those that are maybe a bit nervous about coming back to the theatre, and why would you encourage them to come and see the show at the Curve?
Well, I would say, especially when it comes to 𝗘𝗺, there's absolutely no reason to be scared of coming. It's so socially distanced. Like they've taken out seats. You feel completely isolated, even if you're going alone. They give you your own seat. There's a one-way system. They check everyone in. They've got a thing to check the temperature of people as well. So I would just say, especially if you've been, you know, stuck in the house for all this time and you just need to have some live entertainment. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like live entertainment. It's not just watching Netflix all day. I would say whether you like musicals or not, just come. It's a beautiful concert. It's a lovely experience, and we are all there, like giving our best for everyone to have him, and to make sure that, you know, we all embrace a new life that is coming up, and also try and forget what has happened this past year. Just try and be together and do some live theatre again.
Absolutely. There's a bit of a delay, so when you talk, it kind of takes a bit of a while to come through. But thank you so much for your time this evening. I really appreciate it. And obviously, hopefully, the rest of the days you can really immerse yourself in the Andrew Lloyd music for one last week before kind of it finishes. But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Bye. Thank you. So sorry about the delay there with the sound. I'm not too sure what was going on. I think it was the connection. But hopefully you got the gist of everything. And Madalena says some really lovely things about working on Andrew Lloyd Webber's music and the concert and what it means to her to come back to the 𝗘𝗺 and work with such amazing actors and actresses during this time in COVID. If you haven't already seen the show at the 𝗘𝗺, I can tell you with hand on my heart that this production is amazing. The lighting by 𝗘𝗺 is out of this world. It really brings to life the stage at 𝗘𝗺 like you've never seen it before, and it's just a really lovely selection of Andrew Lloyd Webber music. You've got your Cats in there, you've got your Joseph in there, you've got Phantom of the Opera, you've got Sunset Boulevard, which Ria Jones, like Madalena was saying, absolutely nails, especially as she sings As If We Never Say Goodbye, which I think is perfectly fitting. And for those who do know the 𝗘𝗺, the last show that happened at the 𝗘𝗺 before the pandemic was, of course, Phantom of the Opera. So to hear those beautiful notes ring through that theatre one more time after the longest year apart was beautiful. So if you haven't already, then please book tickets to go and see this at the 𝗘𝗺. Again, apologies for a bit of a delay with the sound, and thank you very much for joining me. It was very quick and swift, but hopefully you got a lot of cool information. I will leave you now to carry on with your Monday evening. I should be back on Friday with a Q&A. I'm not too sure yet. I'm kind of working on a few projects at the moment, so things are a little bit tied up. But if you want to see any of my old episodes, they are all available on my Instagram. And yes, I've got some exciting guests coming up. I've got Emmanuel Kojo next Thursday, who's going to be chatting about his role as Beast in the Beauty and the Beast UK tour, which is coming up very soon. So thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy your Monday evening, and I shall see you very soon. Goodbye.